Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about a topic that is both fascinating and frightening. The three North Koreas no one talks about. You probably know about North Korea, the secretive and oppressive country that is often in the news for its nuclear weapons and human rights violations. But did you know that there are three other countries in the world that are very similar to North Korea in many ways? In this video, we will explore how these countries became like North Korea, what life is like for their people, and what the future holds for them. Let's get started. Number 1. Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan is a country in Central Asia that borders Iran, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. It has a population of about 6 million people and is rich in natural gas and oil. Turkmenistan was part of the Soviet Union until 1991, when it declared its independence. Since then, it has been ruled by two dictators who have created personality cults around themselves and their families. The first dictator was Sapar Murat Niyazov, who called himself Turkmenbashi, meaning the leader of all Turkmen. He ruled from 1991 until his death in 2006. He was known for his eccentric and authoritarian policies, such as building gold statues of himself all over the country, including one that rotated to face the sun, renaming the months and days of the week after himself and his relatives, banning ballet, opera, circuses, beards, and lip-syncing, closing all hospitals and libraries outside the capital, Ashgabat, and firing thousands of teachers and doctors. After Niyazov's death, he was succeeded by Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, who has continued his legacy of dictatorship and personality cult. He has also built gold statues of himself and his family, and has added his own quirks, such as claiming to be an expert in everything, from medicine to music to sports, staging elaborate events to showcase his skills, such as horse riding, shooting, racing, and singing, banning black cars, dogs, and tobacco, ordering the construction of a giant artificial lake in the desert and a ski resort in the mountains. Turkmenistan is one of the most isolated and repressive countries in the world. It has no free press, no opposition parties, no independent civil society, and no internet access for most of the population. The government controls all aspects of life and punishes any dissent or criticism. The people of Turkmenistan suffer from poverty, corruption, poor healthcare, and environmental degradation. Turkmenistan is a North Korea in Central Asia. Number 2. Eritrea. Eritrea is a country in East Africa that borders Ethiopia, Sudan, and Djibouti. It has a population of about 6 million people and is located on the Red Sea. Eritrea gained its independence from Ethiopia in 1993 after a long and bloody war. Since then, it has been ruled by a single dictator, Isaias Afwerki, who has turned the country into a military dictatorship and a prison state. He has done this by abolishing the constitution, the parliament, and the elections that were supposed to take place in 1997, imposing a state of emergency that has lasted for over 20 years, giving him unlimited power and suspending all civil liberties, creating a one-party system, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice, that dominates all aspects of political and social life, banning all independent media, NGOs, and religious groups, and arresting and torturing journalists, activists, and dissidents. Eritrea is often called the North Korea of Africa, or the world's most closed country. It has no allies, no trade, no development, and no peace. It is in a state of constant conflict with its neighbors, especially Ethiopia, over border disputes and regional influence. It is also accused of supporting terrorist groups and violating human rights. The people of Eritrea suffer from hunger, disease, oppression, and violence. Many of them flee the country, risking their lives to cross the desert or the sea in search of freedom and opportunity. Number 3. Cuba. Cuba is a country in the Caribbean that consists of the island of Cuba and several smaller islands. It has a population of about 11 million people and is located 90 miles south of Florida. Cuba became a communist state in 1959 after a revolution led by Fidel Castro and his allies. Since then, it has been ruled by the Communist Party of Cuba, which has maintained a strict control over the economy, the society, and the culture. Cuba has also faced a long-standing embargo and hostility from the United States, which has isolated it from the rest of the world. Cuba has many similarities to North Korea, such as having a one-party system with no opposition or free elections, having a planned economy with state-owned enterprises, rationing, and shortages, having limited freedoms with censorship, surveillance, and repression of dissent. However, Cuba is not exactly like North Korea. It has some differences, such as having a more diverse and vibrant culture with music, art, literature, and sports, having a more educated and healthy population with universal literacy and health care, having a more open and tolerant society with religious freedom, racial diversity, and LGBT rights. In recent years, Cuba has normalized relations with the United States, relaxed some economic and social restrictions, and allowed more internet and travel access. It has also faced many challenges, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic downturn, and the social unrest. Cuba is still a North Korea in the Caribbean, but it may not be for long. Number 4. Mao's China. Before we end this video, we want to give an honorable mention to a country that was once very similar to North Korea, but is not anymore: Mao's China. China was a communist state under the rule of Mao Zedong from 1949 to 1976. During this period, China experienced many of the same features as North Korea, such as having a one-party dictatorship with no opposition or democracy, having a massive personality cult with Mao's portrait and quotations everywhere, having a radical ideology with the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, having a disastrous economy with collectivization, famine, and poverty. However, after Mao's death, China underwent a dramatic transformation. It adopted a policy of reform and opening up, led by Deng Xiaoping and his successors. It abandoned the extreme communism of Mao and embraced a market economy and a pragmatic foreign policy. It became a global power and a major player in the world. It also improved the living standards and the rights of its people, although it still remains a one-party authoritarian state. China is no longer a North Korea in Asia, but a rising superpower. So these are the 3 North Koreas no one talks about: Turkmenistan, Eritrea, and Cuba. These countries are very different from each other, but they share some common traits with North Korea. They are the hidden North Koreas of the world. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from Knowledge Matrix, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.